Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name's Ben Scott. I'll be joined by Jason Galea. Thanks for joining us on our way to create 1 million positive outcomes for personal training clients by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by @STCfit Learning, a page created to upskill and educate PTs and gym nerds. Also brought to you by @STCfit, and that's a place for all your online and in-person personal training needs. If you enjoyed today's episodes, please give us a share and tag on the Instawebs. You can tag @STCfit, @STCfit Learning, @BenScottSC, and @JasonGalea PC. Hope you enjoy the show. Jason.
Ben, what's up?
Heaps. It's Thursday.
Yeah.
I've officially entered my first white monster of the prep.
Oh, wow.
Even though all the heavy lifting is over, it's just that kind of day.
This could go either way, podcasting on Thursday. Just listener be warned.
Yeah. Well, especially 9 days out for myself.
Yeah.
It's always an interesting time to try and human.
Yeah.
Nat and I were trying to have a conversation this morning about like where a document was. We both just started laughing. It was like, this should have been a 10-second ask, respond, and it's taken us 2 minutes to figure it out.
Michael and I have to hold the fort for the next week.
Yeah, just the next 3 days, I think. And then I'll be kind of human again. And then after comp for another 3 days.
Yeah.
How are your guys looking? You've just got Nat?
Yeah. Just Nat this time.
Yeah, sweet.
So she's doing great. So
yeah, killing it.
Yeah, that's good.
Should
be
exciting. Good meet for everyone. It'll be fun.
Yeah. I think like given the circumstances too, like the expectations like being thrown out the window, so we should be fun. Like you know what I mean? Like the pressure should be a little bit lower. It's like you guys have had like 3 weeks at home in a really important period of prep, and a lot of you guys haven't had any kit. So it's like just go in there and just do the best you can.
Yeah. I just want to have a good day. It was like
that's it. It's just like
a few weeks ago I was super frustrated. I was just like, just go have fun. Like, it's the first time I get to compete with a team. Obviously, my old man's competing as well, so like sharing a platform with him is gonna be cool.
Yeah,
just like go have fun, and then I'll do the competitive thing for nationals.
Yeah, that's it. We just want 2 to 3 white lights for as many lifts as we can.
Yeah,
like that's the goal.
Yeah. Has your training been back in the gym?
Yeah, good. I have a month of like just kind of figuring out my new program.
Yeah.
And then like I'll actually then commit to my new program. And then like I wanna do a specific style of training.
Yep.
But I need to build myself up to be able to kind of like walk into it. So it's got a bit of like AMRAP kind of progressive overload cluster set kind of stuff. So I'll be doing the AMRAP and the cluster set to overload over the program. But to walk straight into that after 3 weeks of just fluffing around the gym just seems a bit stupid. So
how to break yourself.
Yeah. It's just like how to not want to train after 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, true.
So just like 4 weeks, I'll just kind of work my way back into, being in the gym and having some conditioning and stuff. And then I'll add those in, and then like that'll be the progressive kind of component of the program, or the major progressive component of the program.
Yeah.
Started dieting.
How's that?
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like dieting's easy. Like for me, I just look at it really logically. I'm like, okay, so these are all the foods that you eat, and this is where you get the calories when you can't eat a lot of food. So take those out. So it's like this week was like, wasn't buying bags of lollies, wasn't buying like fruit juice, wasn't buying, things that just like I eat to get the calories up.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you look at it, the rest of the stuff, it's not really that different.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, just eat a little bit less in terms of the portions. Like cereal gets a little bit lower, yogurt comes back in because it's low fat, high protein.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, got a little bit hungry yesterday, wasn't out of control.
Yeah.
I think it's doing the same thing. So I'm going to build myself up to like, just need to change some habits and solidify some things first.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have a real red hot run at doing something that's quite aggressive that I would probably not do with many people. Just to see, it's more like I just want to push myself as hard as I can and see what happens. Like, see what I could do. Cause it's like good to, you're almost like a crazy scientist. Like you try things on yourself and then you're like, right, I could use this in this circumstance with a client, like
Yeah.
working with people who like compete and do photo shoots and want to look good for holidays and, just want to look good naked. Like, it's kind of nice to have these little strategies for here and there to use with those people, because they're super compliant. So you can kind of go in and out of those things and they'll follow it, and they know it's not a lifestyle. Like, it's not a long-term thing. So
especially aggressive, short, sharp approaches like that.
Yeah, like they're super effective. People kind of like, I feel like the industry's been shitting on that a lot. And it's like, but no fat loss diet's sustainable. Like, none.
Shouldn't be. You shouldn't stay in a deficit forever.
The thought process of it being sustainable is the problem, not the fact that you could go super aggressive and pull yourself out. So I'll do that I'll coincide that at the same time as the increase in the intensity in the training, or sorry, the effort in the training. And I'll see how I go. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see. And that'll coincide with like the photo shoot for the guys. Not that like we're going to be doing it, but like, it's just something fun to kind of like, be doing it together. And I'll probably just like get Tam at some point at the end of the year just to get some shots and stuff. And because I haven't really kind of had a red hot crack for a couple of years now. So
give me till like late November, please. I'm planning on being 100 kilos mid-September. So I'll need some time after that.
Well, that's it. And like, I just need to see what I look like 3 months out from stage, because it's like, this is what you got. So there's a lot of fat kind of showing illusion. So it's like, okay, well, if this is what you got, what do you need to work on? And I'll just keep working on it, and then I'll probably commit next year or the year after.
When the time comes, huh?
That's it. Just want to be competitive. So I don't want to go. I don't want to like just do a comp for the sake of it now. It's like, that's not what it is for me. It's like, if I do it, I want to bring the best version of myself. So I just need a little bit longer to do that.
I'm already excited about training after comp, but it's too far away, so we won't talk about it now. But it's going to be very surprising to people. I'm going to have running in my program.
Unreal.
But
maybe some light jogging for
everyone I've talked to about it. I was like,
power walking.
Everyone I've talked to about it, I'm like, week 1 run day, 3 30-meter brisk walks with 60 seconds rest.
It's gonna be the like the crawl before you walk version of like running.
Like the couch to 5Ks is not for me. It's not. It's not possible. All right, so today we're going to unpack probably one of the most common questions we get even when people come in to Standout PT early on while we're setting things up for them. It's like, how do I make good content? How do I attract people? How do I have people wanting to come and to work with me? And I think it's obviously one of the biggest struggles, if not the biggest struggle that the trainers face, is like, where's that next client coming from? Always thinking about it. And it's like, if you're remembering being on the gym floor and you've got like 2 or 3 session a week clients, you're like, fuck, if they go, I'm fucked. Like, I can't afford those 3 if they all left in 1 week, I'm in big trouble. So we want to be in a position where we're not at the mercy of other people. So to do that, we need to create an environment where people, the ultimate for me was when I went from outreaching to people all the time to getting, hey, I know you're really busy, but can you fit me in? It's like, that's the shift, and that's what most personal trainers are looking for.
I think when people look at why they put content out, I feel like they can't really answer that question either. So it's like, what does content do for your business? Like, why is it involved as part of your business? Like, it seems like a lot of trainers and business owners just go, oh, like, I see other people doing it, so I'm just doing it. Like, there's no real deliberate reasoning to why the content's there. And then that kind of distorts, which we're going to talk about in a little bit more detail, like what the content would be and how you deliver it and all those kind of things. So it just ends up being like just random stuff, like random information, like, that people just go, oh, cool. Like, that's cool.
It makes me think of back in the day, like the posters on the back of the toilet door.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have any clients. I know, I'll put up a poster.
Yeah.
It's like, God, all my problems are solved. It's like, yeah, I don't care what's on that thing while I'm sitting there. And now I've got a smartphone, so I'm not looking at it anyway.
Even the posters, like, because the gym I train at now, like, if you want a really good reminder of what the fitness industry is like and the personal training industry at the same time, go there.
Yeah.
Because it's like a bunch of people with no programs talking to the biggest or the most ripped dude in the gym who's genetically gifted or whatever, just saying this is what works for me.
Yeah.
And then the personal training ones are like the posters, and it's just like their own personal transformation, and that's it.
Yep.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just a list of things, like just dot points of things. Like, it's like, how, like, who's reading this and getting excited about that?
It's not new, right? Like, everyone's doing that. Everyone's doing coaching and personal training. Like, your personalized programming, like writing that down doesn't fucking sell anything. No one cares.
Yeah, telling people what's in it, things. Like, what's involved. It's like, if that person inquires, like, they were already keen. They, like, it doesn't matter what the fuck you were going to say to them. Like, they were in. Like, yeah.
I like that concept though, of like, why are you putting out content? You need to have a really good thought process behind that. So, like, we've got deliberately, we do client acquisition as our fourth pillar. As much as, like we said, it's early on in the course, people want to know it earlier, but I think, like you said, people are posting for the sake of posting and they don't have the other stuff in mind. So our 5 pillars, if you guys aren't familiar with us, you've got mindset, model, the business model, the service, then clients, and then the technical proficiency. So if you don't have the mindset stuff in place, that personal training is not about you, it's about growth. You've got to be able to have a crack at shit, suck at it, and then do it again and do it again. The amount of conversations we have with personal trainers that are like, oh, I suck at talking on stories, or I feel uncomfortable doing it, or I'm not good at design or writing or whatever.
Too scared to post something for what other people would think of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that mindset part's really important. And then part of our mindset section is goal setting, knowing what you're actually trying to achieve. Like, if you're just trying to do 30 sessions in your gym, spending 10 to 15 hours a week trying to create content online probably isn't worthwhile for your time. If you want to build a brand or go online or create resources that are partnered with your face-to-face services, like a retention thing, then great. Like, that's worthwhile to you, but you need to have your goals laid out to know that this is why I'm doing this, and this is the reason I put up X amount of posts per week, whatever.
Yeah, I think, like, if you look at those, like, one of those 3 big problems that we see with personal trainers when they first come to us, like, time's one of them, but it's not that, like, they don't have enough time because they don't spend it well. And then you look at, like, sometimes I'll look at some stuff that people are putting out on social media, and I'm like, that would have taken so long to do. And, like, what benefit is your audience really getting out of that?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of the problem and why we're here today, is like, it's cool to go with trends. It's cool to do this. And, you know, it might be exciting to kind of put something up and whatever, but it's like, if it's not related to your audience or like your business, like, that's the problem. That's the break in the link right there. It's like, you don't actually know why you're doing it. You're just doing it because you're seeing other people do it and you think it's good. And, like, when time is finite and we want to use it to get the best ROI, like, we need to be very specific with how we spend it.
Yeah. So the next pillar we talk about, again, in order for a reason, is your business model. If you don't know what your business is, it's very hard to communicate it to other people. So when you're asking, how do I create good content? It's like, well, what do you do? Who do you work with? What's your niche? What are their problems? What problems do you solve in the market? How do you do that? If you can't answer those questions, it's going to be really challenging for me to help you create good content.
Yeah.
So having that business model, and then, like, what's your service? Like, what do you offer people? Is it online? Is it face-to-face? What's included in the back end? What level is it? Super premium? Is it touch free? Is it, like, trading time for money, whiteboard sessions, like what is your actual service? Once you have all those three things in place, like, okay, now we can start to talk about how to communicate your message to the public.
Yeah. I think with content creation, there's like coaches are trying to figure stuff out. So we acknowledge that, and we've made content with the goal of like figuring shit out.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't really understand this, so we're going to go and look up some stuff and write an article, do whatever, just kind of grasp the concepts and spend a bit more time kind of looking at the inner workings of it. I think there's a time and a place and a spot to put that stuff. And then there's an understanding that there's certain content that needs to serve a purpose for your business. And, you know, if you're looking for more business, like, you need to put that in a certain spot, and it needs to be written in a certain way, and it needs to be written to a certain person. Where what we see a lot of is like people trying to figure stuff out, and they put it in that spot that they're trying to get leads from.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, it's a really good way of explaining it.
Yeah, you're trying to understand, like, it's really just question and answer stuff. It's facts. It's like stuff you can find in a book, things that you could, you know, kind of watch on the internet, like just in terms of instruction. And like, in my opinion, like, that's just information. Like, I look at that and just go, oh, cool, I know that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that's practical. It's not something that's applicable to me. It's just like, oh, that was great, I really enjoyed that. And then you would have forgotten in a couple of days.
Yeah, I think, and like Jay said, we were information-based content for 5 years.
Too long.
And it didn't work ever. That allowed us, probably, like Jay said, to facilitate our own growth and understanding and learning, and some networking stuff, probably for the first couple of years. And then after that, it was like less return for effort. But it was changing that. Where does that stuff go? Like, I spent 6 weeks on a RPE versus percentage loading article last year with zero intent that it was going to sell personal training. And it hasn't. No one's messaged me and be like, hey, bro, I just read your RPE article. Can I do coaching with you? It's like, it doesn't happen, because people don't give a fuck about that. People don't wake up in the morning and go, gee, I wonder if I should do RPE today or percentage-based loading for my programming. Like, that's not.
No.
It was a cool experience for me. And then if I get the question, I can refer out to it when I have like advanced clients come through, but it's not a sales piece. So like you said, time and place and location where that stuff lives is really important.
Yeah. And that's, so when we think about content, that is like an umbrella that has so many things underneath it. Like, you can have different types of content, and we have different types of content, and we have it in different places, and it's, you know, orchestrated in a different way, different time, like in terms of lengths. So one of the biggest issues for we see with coaches is like, they're just getting all of that wrong, or they're just putting it all in one spot, which, look, it's not a bad thing when you first start out, but if you're using that space as the major driver for lead acquisition, some of those posts are going to get in the way of that.
Just pull your mic down, bro. You just went quiet on me for some reason.
I don't want to get too close because it might be too loud.
Yeah. So I guess for most personal trainers, like we talked about, time is of limited resource for most people. If you're on the online space, you're probably trying to work with people between the ages of like 20 and 40. And they're more than likely going to be on Instagram. And if you guys came into this as like the content writing, creating content episode, it was probably like, oh, it's how do I do Instagram posts? Because that's what most people think of these days with content. So if we start there, it's how we've built our online businesses initially. We obviously have different stuff in place now, but it's where we started and cut our teeth. And I think it's probably, if I was to advise a new personal trainer coming through, like, where do I start? It would be Instagram. Yeah. Maybe there's something new coming. Don't know. If you want to start on TikTok and hope that it plays out, awesome. But I can say, based on the system that we apply, everyone that uses the system gets results on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's the one I can say, if you do X, you will get Y.
Yeah.
Which in business, if you can have a predictable outcome like that, it's probably a safe bet. So to start with on Instagram, I think we have like a magic number formula. I think we might have talked about it on the podcast before, maybe not. We talk about the 44, 4, and 2. So that's the upper echelon of you will get the best outcomes following this. So those numbers, the 40 is direct messages sent out to prospects, people that aren't your clients. The second number is how many posts you put out per week. The third number is how many spoken stories you put out. And then the last number is your calls to action per week. So telling people how to get in touch with you and work with you. So 40 DMs, 4 posts, 4 stories, 2 calls to action. Jace, you've played obviously with these metrics, maybe a little bit less in the DM side of things, but you would have definitely seen the 4-2 method for you be really effective as well.
Yeah, like it's the same concept of like you be busy in the place where you want to generate business. But be active in the space that you want to generate business. Like if I wanted more clients in the gym, or you guys want more clients in the gym, we're going to tell you how often are you being at the gym. Are you walking the floor? Are you putting things away? Are you saying good day to people? Are you standing behind the desk, looking professional, greeting people, introducing yourself, those kind of things, making calls, setting appointments. Like that's how active you need to be to fill your book in the gym. So you take that to the online space, putting online coach in your bio isn't enough for people to want to work with you. Like everybody's an online coach these days who has a fitness bio. So we need to adopt that same principle of being active and busy in this space. So you guys have the choice of how active and busy you want to be, but the active and busier you are, the likelihoods of you generating more leads and business is going to be significantly higher.
Yeah, 100%. I think the DMs one is the one people feel the most weird about. And it's funny because it's the same in the gym. People don't go talk to people or make the calls in the gym. It's the same hurdle that they face online versus in the gym.
Yeah, and how you approach that, there's a way. Because like I have a radar and the first message is everything.
Yeah.
And it's like I can see it from a mile away. It's like what's coming. It's like you have to be as genuine as you were if you saw someone in the gym and it's just like, hey mate, how's your training going? And actually you give a shit. Like, and you're not going to drop like in 2 sentences later, like, let's jump on a call and talk about online coaching. Like you have to be genuinely interested about that person and their results, and that's a organic thing that flows. Like it's an introduction. It's so that you're on their radar now.
Yeah.
It's so that we'll talk about it soon. Like they have access to your ecosystem and they go in and start to see what you're about in your business and then go, oh, cool. Like, and then it organically happens after that.
Yeah.
Don't send the fucking like cheesy ass, like message to like get on a call straight away and like 400,000 of their photos and comment like, yeah, awesome. Like I literally want to like virtually punch people in the face to do that to me. It makes me so mad. Like I don't even reply anymore because I'm like, I'm going to say something, someone's going to screenshot it and I'm going to get in trouble or something.
Yeah.
Like it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, 100%. We talk about it internally and even in Standout PT as well. It's like, call it Tindergram because it's the same as like online dating. Jason's been in a relationship pre-online dating, so he's never experienced.
We used to talk to people.
So. Yeah. But it's like the content line we use is don't just lead with a dick pic.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It has a very, very low success rate and maybe be a little concerned when it does work.
Yeah.
just weigh that up as an option. But it's not the way to go about it. You wouldn't walk up to someone in the gym on the gym floor and say, hey, do you want to do personal training, and expect them to say yes.
Yeah.
We've all felt that. We've all had that. We've all opened the request section of our DMs and there's some fucking douchebag in there that's created a page 3 days ago that wants to tell you how to run a business or like sell you some shit. DM for a collab or something. Like everyone knows you can see it in 10 seconds. Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Do not.
Be I think the main word you use there was genuine and actually giving a shit about the person on the other side. I think if you lead with that, you're in a pretty good position to start with.
Yeah. Definitely.
So who to talk to, new followers, people that engage with your content, reactions to your stories. If you like a story, I like to respond in that as well. It's really funny. It's because I have a primarily female clientele. We actually had this discussion with our girls the other day within the STCfit team. And they were saying like just getting into that initial conversation's like challenging. And I said, you guys don't have the element where the person on the other end of the message thinks you're trying to sleep with them. That you have to get past that point. So I think if you're a male reaching out to females, it's even like that initial conversation is even more important.
Yeah,
it's like,
agreed.
Yeah, make sure it's very clear as to what angle you're taking with that conversation. I think
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, one of our trainers actually said she followed me like over a year ago. So I DM'd like, hey, how's training? How's blah, blah, blah. And she got all excited and was like, oh, this guy from Melbourne that I followed me back and messaged me. And her friends were like, yeah, he wants to fuck you. I was like, no, I just want to coach you. Calm down. So yeah, it is a little bit of a thing to navigate, but you just got to be willing to show up with that genuine intent that you want to help people, and most people will be receptive.
Yeah, and then it's like the DMs are part of the process. It's not the process.
Correct.
It's like there's other things involved here.
Yeah.
To make sure that like we don't get that situation where they're just like, are they talking to me for like some like because they want to pick me up? It's like, oh, if I go to their page, they have this, they do that. Their story says this. Like this person's runs a genuine fitness business, and they're legit.
Yeah, good ones. Just like trying to, when we talk about pain points and stuff in previous episodes, like if you can get to a pain point in that initial conversation, you've won.
Yeah.
Like, how's training going? What are you doing at the moment? What's working? What's not working? Like, what are you finding the biggest challenge? Later, when we get to talking about like external resources, your goal is then to have something to provide.
Send them somewhere.
And that's essentially what you're trying to set up.
Yep.
So from the DMs, the goal really is like the way the Instagram web works by itself. Someone goes to your profile, maybe from a post that's been shared or you've explored or you've paid money or whatever. Someone finds your profile for the first time. They land on it, they brief over your bio, and then they see what it looks like. You've got about 5 seconds for that person to decide if it's worth staying. Maybe 3 seconds. So the posts themselves, from an aesthetic standpoint, what leaps out to them as what you do, really, really important. If they spend some time there, that'll actually bias your algorithm and allow you to move up to be, when you're posting stories and stuff later, they'll actually be viewed earlier. Your posts will be viewed earlier. The posts are then there to build a relationship. It's your personality. It's your voice, your interpretation of different pain points for them. And then your goal, really, you post your call to action. They either engage or they don't. And you're just repeating basically those steps over and over again until you find a pain point that resonates enough that they go, I want a personal trainer. This guy keeps talking about, or girl keeps talking about the things that I struggle with the most, seems to know what he's talking about and gets good results on it.
Yeah. I think the most important thing you spoke about just then that people don't think about is the pain point.
Yeah.
Like we look at the why we post content. So that's the first thing that a lot of people who struggle with content creation probably need to ask themselves, like, what am I doing this for? And then the pain points are next. It's like how knowing your clients probably next. So it's like, who's this person that you guys are working with? And what are their problems? What are their obstacles? What solutions do you provide for them? What's the big prize?
Yeah.
then listing these pain points. It's like, what are all the things that they deal with?
Yeah.
And can you identify them?
If you guys can't articulate that right now, just go to stcfitlearning.com/niche. And it's actually a part of our Standout PT course pulled out and put onto a website for you guys.
Free resource.
And yeah, you can start at 0, and by the end of it, know exactly who you're talking to, have 100 pain points, which is 100 pieces of content to go and start working towards.
Even more.
Yeah.
You talk about one pain point in 4 or 5 different ways. So there's 400.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Which I think will last you just a couple of weeks.
What's that?
400 pain points might give you a little bit of content over time.
Yeah.
You might be pretty covered with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think from a profile standpoint, when we talk about people don't know why they're posting, you can see that it's just a mess.
Yeah.
It's like, it's me training, it's my clients training, it's before and after, it's my dog, it's fucking all over the place. Which maybe is okay in your stories, but not okay in your profile. Someone lands on that profile, they need to know what you're about very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Instagram as like a lead generator and like your business, it's your business is either in your profile or it is your profile name.
Yeah.
It's almost like digitally giving someone like a business card now.
Yeah.
Like handing someone that, because it gives they look at the details and they get a really good idea of what you're about. So if like you gave someone a business card, say 10 years ago, when that's what people did, and it was like, it had marks on it, the font was shit, the paper was like cheap, really cheap.
Yeah.
And the corners of it were like kind of worn and stuff. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, cool, sweet, and you're just gonna put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like where if it's like crisp and it's like really good font, it feels nice, you're gonna kind of look at it and you're gonna assess the whole thing,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now they can do that in so much more detail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So different types of posts, like we do like the quotes, the posts, you can do before and afters, pictures of yourself, IGTV if you're going down that road, or reels, client results, education stuff, infographics, call to actions. They're the different types of posts, just a few that you could use. We like the grid style. Personally, I like a page that looks uniform all the way down. Some people will do like diamond shapes, which is fine. It's just my own personal bias towards that aesthetic. So we have 4 different ones that we do. So our videos alternate each week between different types of videos. But visually it looks the same. So when you land on the grid, it all looks neat and deliberate and put together and organized, like that business card that's got the raised font and the gold leaf on the corners, not just like printed out of your on some yellow card at home and handed over to someone. So maybe what might be valuable is just like keys to a good post. Like what actually makes a good post? I think the number one thing is it hits a pain point.
Yeah, people have to identify with the post.
Yeah, you've got to be able to say that's me when they read it.
Yeah.
Again, that comes back to knowing your client really well. The better you know the client, the better you'll be at that. It is a skill that takes practice. There's one of the templates that we use. We stumped our guys during the week doing this workshop. It was like, now what would your clients say in retaliation to that? How are they going to push back when they say, yeah, but what comes after the but? And if you can get there, you're on.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're going to be putting out good content.
Yeah, you know them really well.
Yeah. So it's obviously aesthetically pleasing. If you've got an iPhone 6 and it's bad lighting and you filmed your deadlifts, put in your story, not on your profile. It's not it. The access to technology and phones and stuff and lighting that we have now, it doesn't fly anymore. It stands out as low quality. You have to go to that next step.
The standards raise so much with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit interesting, like trying to make content that's about your clients and not you. So I have one of my weekly posts it's supposed to be like an inspire thing. So it's a picture of me talking about something that I hope someone takes some value from and a little bit inspired from. in that case, I am talking about myself quite often, but the goal is always, what does this story do for my client? What value does it add to their lives? Are they able to sit back and think? My goal with them usually is to just get them to pause for half a second and not flick through. Just actually think about what I wrote. And if I achieve that, it's like mad. From a values, one of my core values is contribution. So now we've got Mav on. So that's really important to me. But from a content creation point, if you can get someone to stop scrolling and actually think about something you wrote, fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
Really, really good sign. So
yeah, I think for the people listening to this podcast, their social media page, like their Instagram page, shouldn't really be, you shouldn't be the focal point of that, like themselves.
Yeah.
It's like there's like that's like influencer shit. It's like athlete stuff. It's like people follow, like I follow Odell Beckham Jr. because I'm like, dude's a freak.
Yeah.
But like he's just putting up random shit of himself just being awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, but
because he has a sponsorship deal where he gets paid.
Yeah, that's it. So, but it's like everything's about him, but you're okay with that. But if like you were a business, you wouldn't even want to kind of inquire with someone because it doesn't feel like they're like, I don't feel a connection with them because they don't work with people. I don't know that they work with people. I just know they're really smart and they might train people, but they don't train me. So there's no reason why I would inquire with them.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a social media page and put your own stuff up, you might want to think about like having a separate one. Like having two, and you just have your own story and your own lifestyle and that, and people can follow that. And then you've got your business where you're making this very specific to this ideal client that we always talk about. Yeah,
there's a line that I really like that people often get butthurt about, but it's if your coach talks more about themselves on their social media than they do educate or their clients, you sponsored an athlete, you didn't hire a coach.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty comfortable to sit on that. It's like, it's an indication to me that like, and there are people out there that are like athlete first, coach second, which is fine. Do your thing. But from a consumer's standpoint, I would be considering that before I hired someone. Like my coach is one of Australia's best powerlifters, but he talks about education more than his own training.
Yeah.
And that's why he has a full book of clients.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. So how to put together a good post: choose a pain point, choose a structure. Just go and have a look around, guys. Like there's heaps of structures that you can follow. We've got like an article generator one, there's a trend one, and then there's like the old 3 steps to, like, just Google structures to your posts, and you'll be able to find a model that resonates with you, that you find easy to interpret and you can consistently do. I'd use the same one every single time. So I'm just so used to it now. And I've never seen any like decrease in performance, or if I've changed the structure, it hasn't wildly taken off. They usually do worse because I'm really good at the other structure. So find something that you can repeat that actually ticks all the boxes that you need to in that communication. Pick a killer heading.
That's huge.
We talk about having enough salt, and that's our thing. You don't have to do that. I want to make that really clear. You don't have to be salty and call people out or anything like that to make good content. If that's naturally your personality and you can do it with a little bit of tongue in cheek and humor, go for it. But I wouldn't be forcing it.
Yeah, that disrupt kind of mentality for the heading is obviously something you and I really lean into.
Yeah.
But we have the confidence to challenge these things that other people think. So for those guys that probably aren't quite there yet, it's like use another way to draw attention to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Ask a question as the heading. It's like, do you have small biceps?
Yeah.
Are you unhappy with your small biceps? Question mark. It's like, if you have small biceps, I'm hoping that this is a post about how to get fucking massive ones. Like, so you don't have to go with the salt, but it's like, sometimes the disrupt ones are like get a lot of attention because it's like, oh, I've always thought this way, and you're challenging that. Sometimes you get some really good engagement too, especially if you post about vegans. Then you're going to go up the algorithm heaps.
Yeah, our most commented on posts are all vegan posts. Yeah, I think that's important to have a structure in place. The heading needs to grab attention. It can either hit an emotion, it can hit a challenge, it can be funny, it can just be a pain point. Like, it just needs to be enough that someone goes, that's me, and be attracted to it.
Well, they've only got that. You've only got that split second with the picture and the heading, or the picture and the first things they read. So the picture and the first things that person's going to read are so important, because that's the reason why they keep reading. If it's not interesting enough, they're moving on.
Yeah.
They gets lost into the abyss of Instagram.
Yeah. So the next place, I think the trainers, once they've put out posts, obviously you want to know if it's done well. And everything we talk about is like test, review, do again. So one place I think people get tripped up is like the likes. Yeah, the likes are, you've got to get the most likes. It's like, you want to get the most likes, get lean, put on a fake tan, show a lot of skin in high resolution, and you probably get the most likes. Does that actually translate to saves? Very debatable.
I think likes are indicative of the picture.
Yeah, it's how good of quality it is usually.
Yeah, and then usually if it's a progress picture, it'll get the most traction. Just because people can instantly just look and go, double tap. Yeah, I like that picture. They don't necessarily like what you wrote,
or even read the caption. Yeah. So likes, comments, and saves. Saves are good for the algorithm. Even likes and comments help, but they don't seem to, in our experience, actually translate to any sales.
Yeah.
Which, if you're running a page that takes you X amount of hours per week to run, makes sense to me to maximize how many leads you're going to get. My favorite example of this is earlier on in the podcast, when we first came back and we had heaps of guests come through. We had Dean on after one of the Pro Raw episodes, I think. And Dean had maybe 5,000 followers at the time. Not huge. We'd had guys with 50,000, 500,000. And Dean's episode was the most successful from a download standpoint that we'd ever had. And he held that for a long time over way, way bigger international names than him. The reason why, when he had a tribe that when he speaks, they listen.
Yeah.
So they saw he was on a podcast and they went and listened to it. There was a higher percentage of people that were in his web actually paid attention to what he said. For me, I would rather have 1,000 followers and 100 clients than 10,000 followers and 50 clients.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm running my social media to build a business, not because I want to be able to show a watch and get paid $20. Like, it's not why I'm showing up. So the metrics that we have seen correlate the best profile visits and obviously website clicks.
Yeah.
They're the two that are, when we look at a success of our week and our posts, when we review everything every week, like you should be doing, don't just post shit and never look at it again. Yeah. Otherwise it's a waste of time.
Yeah. I think the other, like, I kind of sit on the fence with the shares and saves.
Shares are good.
Yeah, like shares are good, especially if you go, like, if they go beyond like a number that's like kind of average, because that'll be just like your tribe kind of sharing it. If it goes beyond that, it's like, okay, so this has gotten into the web and people have shared it. People aren't going to share things if they don't like it. Like, your clients sharing it's great, shows support and stuff, and it probably shows you tapping into, their interest in that person.
So message,
yeah. If your clients are sharing it, like, it's not a bad idea. And then like saves, I kind of sit on the fence with at the moment. I'm like, they're either saving it to copy it later. You know what I mean? Like, they just like, oh, cool, I'm going to post this later, because that's like, unfortunately, like what happens. It's like, it's a good concept. I'll just butcher it in the future, like we've seen happen. Like your exercise regression thing, was it?
Yeah, someone turned my article into an infographic.
It was literally like the same. Well, anyway. that's a good sign. It's just you don't really want to see that. And then like if they're saving it, it's because it might be good content. It might remind them. They might want to see it later. It's kind of usable. So I don't know. I kind of sit on the fence on that one.
So the reason I don't put shares in as a good metric, it can be, but I think one of the biggest traps personal trainers fall into that we haven't really honed in on, but we've talked about in previous podcasts. They talk to trainers. They say smart shit.
Yeah. So
And like, so there was one that came up. So there's always you'll pay this much for fucking a night out, but the gym's too expensive. You'll pay this much for that.
Yeah.
And then there was the one that blew up was the guys, they put like, you'll pay this much for a bag of Coke, but you won't pay for coaching. And it fucking exploded.
Yeah, right. I don't think I saw that one, eh?
Saw it everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
But it was like, cool. 400 personal trainers just shared your post. Do any clients give a fuck?
Yeah.
Or did you just tell everyone in the world? Because 400 other people shared it and 200 people saw each one of those. Yeah. So you just told 1,500 people that people don't sign up with you because they don't think you're valuable enough.
They think a bender on the weekend's more valuable.
Yeah, like come on. Yeah, I don't know that's my biggest trigger is when I see that shit.
It sits in the middle. I think if we had a spectrum, if like on the left and that's the lower end of the spectrum, maybe saves and shares sit in the middle as like, it's a good indicator, but they don't translate to business. It just translates to awareness. Profile visits and website clicks are it. It's like those people are only clicking on your website for a couple of reasons.
And I think that's a difference too, is like if you get a shareable post, you'll get good profile visits if it's good.
Yeah.
If it's just your tribe that posted and no one comes and visits your page, it tanked. It's like it didn't really do anything. You can use
them both, can't you? Like you can see them both at the same time. So you can kind of run the algorithm in your own head. It's like if this got lots of shares and lots of people visited my page,
it was good.
It's not. I just sent out a crappy post about people buying Coke over my training services and like all these butthurt personal trainers who run shit businesses jumped on board. Yeah,
to tell all the clients that have ever said no to them about training that they suck. And it's definitely not my fault.
Weekend or something. It's like, there you go out.
Yeah. There's a lesson in that for you guys too that's totally off topic. It's like it's very common for personal trainers to indirectly shit on their clients without even meaning to. They think that they're trying to communicate a message. There's one I saw recently. So we put up instead of saying my clients aren't adherent, start saying my service doesn't facilitate adherence. It's like, oh, that fucking changes the game a little bit, doesn't it? I have to take a bit of responsibility for that. And there was one that I was like, that we've come up, and it comes up over and over again in different ways. That's along the lines of, you hired me to get a result, but you have to do the work. You have to eat the food, do this, do your check-in. If you don't fucking check in, I'm not your dad sort of thing. And I was like, again, like, you're just telling people that when people work with you, they don't do what they're told. And when they don't do what they're told, you put a post up on your social media to shit on them about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a successful business model? I don't think when we're talking about good content, that's not it.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the pain point things. Like, what client is sitting there going, you know what? I need a coach that when I fuck up, they put it on social media. No one's thinking that. So don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry, go.
If you're going to explore that, don't make it so fucking aggressive. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want your clients feeling like shit when you post something.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because they won't be clients anymore.
Yeah. There's a few, like, there's some that are good. Like, I'll get some feedback from ones that are like, oh, fuck, that got me in the feels.
But that's
good.
Delivery. The dose was right. The salt was distributed evenly.
Enough. Yeah. And usually it's like, oh fuck, I wasn't even thinking about you. But hey, if the shoe fits, like let's go.
I've done that a few times. I've accidentally shat on some things and they're like, oh, that's me. And I'm like, look, it wasn't directed at you, but if this is you, maybe you want to have a think about what we just posted, what I just posted
about. So stories are next. So we know we get people to the page, they look at the profiles create engagement, they interact, then we have stories. Stories don't include 4,000 hours of your self-training. They can include that. They aren't just that. Yeah. You have to provide some value. Yeah, I know. And it's funny because I actually put in all our like advice. It actually says here, your training, 1 to 2 clips per session is enough. Jason's like, hold my beer.
The benefit I have from that is my guys watch my stuff and then I don't have to do the whole, like, what's this exercise?
Yeah. And I think something that you do very well is like, you actually explain what you're doing in your training as well. It's like, I'm setting up here because XYZ, which means I get ABC. So it's an educational thing in and of itself. And you still do your spoken stories to a pain point that actually solves the problem for people.
It's just part of it. It's not, because it's the same thing. Like if you're posting all about your story, like you're training, it's no different to the dude that the sponsoring athlete thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the living the life of Jason. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah, maybe I'm just salty on that because my life isn't actually that cool. And my training is not that exciting. It's like I post my top set and that's it.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Like you do like 2 movements a session at the moment.
When I start this new program later in the year, it's just
at least when you've got like 4 or 5 different movements, like
my story will just be my training.
Yeah.
Like I jogged 5 steps today.
I think it's a good way to break up the spoken stories. Like I probably won't do a spoken story today. I've done like 3 5-minute spoken stories, the last 3 days. So I'll leave that with the training today, share some old posts and stuff for people to kind of draw back on that I think are relevant. And then I'll probably go again. Yeah. But I've done the stories. Like I've still done the spoken ones. I think that's the take home.
Yeah. So the reason the spoken ones are so important is because you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
Your posts are obviously written. It's funny, like most of my posts had that high level of salt that actually started way saltier than what they come out on Instagram. And then when I sit down and speak about them on the story, they're actually even softer. And it's an unpacking of that story itself. Again, to just like build that gap between where the client is now and where they need to be and what the benefits would be of solving that pain point for them. So 4 times a week seems to be the sweet spot for that. Like Jay said, any more than that starts to get a little bit like people just tap through. Captions are super important. If they're not, the captions aren't there, they don't grab me. Like if Jace doesn't have captions, I don't stop. And it's Jason's, like, and it's not anyone else. So I think it's really important to at least have dot points of what you're talking about to get people to buy in. Watch out for the swipe up captions at the moment, or they make you go, they flip your video sideways and make you look like a potato.
No, even the automated captions do it. Like,
so I mean,
emphatic. One of them, like the content was good, and they're like, "Oh, do you know it's your video slipped?" I'm well aware. Just listen to the content because it's actually fucking good.
I nailed it.
I'm not fucking posting this again. So
yeah. So the other stuff that you could put in there, so you want to try and have something on your story every day because Facebook and Instagram, etc., are rated. They're valued based on daily users. So if you go in and use your page every single day, that actually raises the value of the platform. So they reward you on the algorithm for shit like that. So you need to have something in there every day. Obviously, we only want to do 4 spoken stories. So other stuff, training, hobbies. Chase and I post our pets more than anything else. So we don't have kids. Sharing other posts that match your message as well. I don't like doing heaps of it. I don't know why. I don't like seeing other coaches that post like 5 things from someone else. Like one here and there that really resonates with your message, I like. And then other content that you've created. So we'll probably talk about the ecosystem stuff in the next episode, which should be like articles, YouTube, podcasts if you've got them.
Yeah.
That when we talk about an ecosystem that drives people to your stuff. So what makes a good story? The same stuff. It hits a pain point. It's aesthetically pleasing. So good lighting in a good place. You're not on a treadmill puffed out like me. I did that once and just didn't do it again because you couldn't understand what I was saying. That's why I sit down for when we record the podcast. It's you speaking with captions. It's about your clients and not yourself. It either inspires, educates, or entertains. Even if it's an entertainment post, it still needs to connect back to a pain point, and that's the skill. It's like it's easy, or it's not. I'm not good at it. It's easy for some people to be funny, but if you're gonna be funny, it needs to still hit a pain point. Nat's very good at it. Amy Rush is actually fucking awesome at it as well. Jason and I don't go to our pages to try and find how to leverage humor well.
Yeah, I'm not funny. So.
We are funny to each other, but we are not.
I've accepted that
comedically.
I'm not funny
yet. So putting together your story, same stuff. Pick a pain point, pick your structure, put together an intro and record it. Something it's really useful about doing stories, if you're not confident speaking, having a 15-minute window where you have to make a point. And I used to be even worse than what I am now in terms of waffling. So having a 15-minute window where I had to explain a specific dot point, move on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one, allowed me to be better at speaking, but also process the topic in my head and be able to articulate it more effectively and efficiently to my clients.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of valuable learning inside that as well.
Yeah, without talking too quickly, I've really tried to, it's like, what's the bare minimum?
Yeah.
Can I talk, and how fast can I talk so that people can still understand me?
Yeah.
But it's a great challenge because when you get put in a situation where you need to articulate something quickly, just like this, and this.
Yeah. So in terms of how you should present on there, ultimately it's going to come down to your personality. If you're a very professional person in everything that you do and you communicate that way, then do that. If you're not and you're more laid back, be that. I think whatever comes most naturally to you will resonate most with other people. Don't get on there and try and be James Smith or something like that if you're not. It comes across really clunky. I think the best compliment I ever got about a story was someone else asked me if it was teleprompted. I was like, well, it's not. It just comes across like that because I talk about this shit all the time and I'm just being myself when I talk about it. So I don't have to think.
It's not, but thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes. I actually was like, oh, does it look like I'm reading? Fuck. And he's like,
really?
No, it's good. I'm like, oh, okay.
Teleprompters aren't it.
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or either that or I just butchered it and I had too many words on there.
Yeah. Too much. Yeah. Too much word.
It just didn't work out. It's not. This isn't happening again.
I think we've worked so long off dot points and slides that actually trying to read off a script is like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's really uncomfortable. So the last one we need to talk about from an Instagram standpoint is your call to action. So we want those 2 calls to action per week. What they should have, and if you guys have your pens and papers out, you want to identify the 3 core problems that your client has, their main overarching problem, your solution and method, so what you actually do to solve those problems, the outcomes that they're going to get, the big overarching outcome, and then how to inquire with you. That's what a good call to action. That might be 1 slide, it might be 2 or 3. We've recently just gone to a video format, which has got some cool feedback. But as long as you have those things presented in a professional manner, you should be fine. I haven't seen a huge increase in inquiries from us going to the video, but it's definitely like raised some eyebrows and people have taken notice just because it's different more than anything.
Yeah. And like, just for some of the guys that may be new to the concept of like a call to action, like a call to action is you sending someone somewhere to do something.
Yeah.
So it's once you deliver the content, which we've spoken about today in many different ways, it's like take them somewhere else, guide them to do something. So call them to take action. Yeah.
So you want to have, I guess we call it an invite. as well as a call to action. It's sort of, they overlap a lot. So all of your posts and stories should send someone to something else, or invite them to comment, DM, do something, take some kind of action. Then your call to action and big pillar that we do twice a week is going to be come and work with me.
Yep.
So for example, because this is actually true, and it is, the Standout PT program intake is now open. We're kicking off on July 12th. So become a Standout PT using our 5-pillar method: mindset, model, service, clients, be great. No more chasing clients, doing too much back-end work, or slaving for minimum wage. Use our 5-pillar method to ditch your anxiety and start enjoying your career. Become a Standout PT, send us a DM at STCfit_learning, or go check out the link in the bio, or just hit stcfitlearning.com/standout for all the details. That is a fairly effective call to action, and you guys should all follow that call to action.
You guys can actually do that.
Inquire about the Standout PT program. So we have talked about it before. If you guys are interested in that, obviously we've talked about like one little section of it today. Episode 122.
You'll find it if you keep chatting away.
Keep making noise to fill the gaps. We do have an episode where we unpack all 5 of those pillars, what we do within them, and why they're important. So if you're curious as to working with us from an education standpoint, we have online content in it's from Teachables. It's like a uni presentation sort of form. So you have written and video content. We do a weekly practical workshop, a weekly live Q&A, which we have with the guys today. And then we have our Facebook group for Q&A and community, etc. as well. So what episode was it, Jason?
Episode 122 is it, Ben? So well
yeah.
done.
So jump back a few episodes, 122, give that one a listen. It'll give you a really clear idea as to what the course is about. You can then go to our website, so stcfitlearning.com, and click the scorecard button. And that will unpack just really succinctly. It takes about 2 minutes versus the podcast that takes an hour, and give you a really good idea of what needs work in your business right now, what you're doing well, what the low-hanging fruit is, and how we help coaches go from essentially struggling to being able to be on top of their business and running a business for the first time, instead of like having a casual job that has your own name on it.
Yep.
Cool. So that's us for today. We will continue the content theme next week, because we want to get into the ecosystem, because a lot of people now are starting to look at articles and YouTube and other places to start creating quality content where, like Jay said, you want to invite someone from a post. Where do you send them? You find a pain point in the DM, where do you send them? So how to create all that stuff really efficiently. Cool, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be even more tired next time, because we'll be after comp. So more caffeine, and we'll see how we go.
2 monsters before we start recording.
Yeah.
How much caffeine can Ben have in 3 days?
Not that much. I'll have an anxiety attack.
Yeah. Remember when we podcasted and like Will had like 3 or 4 coffees before we even started? He was like, so tired. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. That's a lot of fatigue and a lot of human.
Large human, so probably can absorb a little bit more caffeine, I think.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. We will see you in a fortnight.
Thank you.
Don't forget, also, before we wrap up, if you want to jump over and subscribe to STCfit podcast as well, that's our channel directly talking to clients or lifters specifically. Jason and I are now hosting over there as well in an alternate format with Nat, if you want to check that out. If you are a client, you just listen out of curiosity. STCfit's just launched a new program called Be Bulletproof. So it's another 12-week education program designed at filling all the gaps for people in the gym. So go check that out at stcfit.com/bulletproof.
Yeah.
Awesome. Take a screenshot, share it at STCfit_learning, at Jason Galea _STCfit, at Ben Scott STC. They're all the call to actions, 5,000 of them. We'll see you in a fortnight.
Good examples.